Well, hello there. Today is patch 26.6, and I thought I'd share with you my thoughts on what the patch is, changes for top lane, and then some things that we have to think about as Yorick players and or in general for well, when you're fighting against top lane champions. So this is the Shyvana patch. This is where the huge update to Shyvana and all of her skins are out. And even though Shyvana is incentivized to be in jungle, which you will tell with her passive, I'm pretty sure that there's a chance she'll appear in top lane. Why is that? Well, let's look at her passive. She is now similar to Nasus and Veigar, where they have, I think, Smolder, who have an infinite stacking passive. But Shyvana's infinite stacks are based on permanent armor and magic resist. So for Nasus, it's damage through Q stacks. For Shyvana, it's armor and magic resist. Large monsters and siege minions give one stack. And that's not a lot when you think about it. But for champions, epic monsters, it's three stacks. So there's an incentive for Shyvana to appear in the jungle and gank versus in top lane. But that's I'm pretty sure that's not going to stop people from trying our top lane because there is champions. If you can get champion kills, three stacks, and then siege minions, one stack. Okay, so a lot of her kit, there's quite a bit of variation, but this is a whole thing to read about. The thing with her passive is her attacks deal max health damage on hit, and its cooldown is 6 seconds. So some mechanics are similar to what's coming to mind right now is Aatrox, where for every 6 seconds for every number of seconds, he will heal. For Shyvana, she'll deal her attacks will deal max health on hit damage. There's a lot to go through here. I think it's better if you just read it through yourself. But I'm just gonna go run through some of the key things that I've observed. So W is her shield. She'll get a shield the more enemy champions are nearby. And then once the shield is broken, it detonates. Well, this is similar to how Scion works, where his shield will be defensive at the start, and once it pops, it becomes offensive. Shyvana can deal also both has AP and AD scaling. We'll see how Shyvana mains play her. E has a slow, so she still doesn't have a stun, but it's still slow. And then all of these abilities have a twist to them once she turns into dragon form. So there's that too. A lot of things to read here. I think I recommend reading it when you have a spare time. But in general, some things have changed when it comes to the way Shyvana deals magic damage, but and magic damage, attack damage, and her scaling definitely into late game is much stronger now because she has infinite scaling. I wouldn't be surprised if people played her as a mage early on or some kind of spell casting bruiser because as she clears large monsters or as she clears jungle camps, she'll naturally gain magic resistant armor anyway. So they with enough clear speed you might be able to make up for the missing resistances, but we'll see. And then there's some changes here that we'll quickly run through because not all of them are related to top lane. Cassiopeia, have seen her mostly in mid lane, but have seen her a few times in top lane. Kind of a niche pick, but I thought I'd still share. So in short, she has a higher mana pool now. She has more damage from her E from rank 2 and onwards, and this is primarily for poison targets. Even though the buff seems small, because poison is damage over time and E is such a short cooldown that I think it's half a second cooldown. She's practically using it to attack you. If you've ever fought a Cassio, you know what I mean. So Olaf has these buffs are intended for more the jungler side of Olaf, but Olaf has appeared in top lane, so it's something to think about. His base attack speed is increased, so be careful when fighting early levels. Q will slow depending on how far the axe is thrown. So the farther the axe is, the more the slow, and the closer it is, the less the slow. His E will do more damage to him now, which probably explains why top lane Olaf might struggle just a little bit more because he'll have less health. But for jungling Olaf, that may be less of a concern because if you clear enough camps and depending on what smite you go through, you use, especially the green smite, you'll be a lot healthier in comparison. But we'll see. Never know what top lane, how top lane kind of shakes out. Skarner top. This one is pretty interesting. I haven't seen Skarner in a while. So mana cost is way lower, pretty much on par with Yorick's Q, I think. And then the thing to think about is now that mana cost for Q is cheaper, when they activate Q, it's pretty much a 3-hit passive. That means if we were to fight Skarner top, it should be short trades only, deny Skarner the ability to proc his 3rd hit, which has an increase in terms of max health damage. Tryndamere is getting more attack speed late game for one reason or another. But I've faced against really good Tryndameres, and if they know what they're doing, they can crit you out of lane. Maybe you've seen some of my videos too. It can definitely happen. For Zahen, there's less damage from his W, which is the pole, less scaling in terms of bonus AD, and then maybe a small nerf to jungle. Chempunk is an item I like to build when I'm fighting a lot of self-healing or good healing champs. And the good news is it's 100 gold cheaper now. So that's good. That's good. That just gives us more reason to build it early on versus later. And then Chempunk I like to build against when fighting against Kayn, Trundle, Zahen, Briar, Silas, Samira, all of these, Warwick top in particular, who heals. The lower he is, he just gains more healing. And wait, Sunfire, sorry. If you need to build Sunfire, I rarely do, but if there's a reason for you to go really defensive in a game, is you now can build, on the way to completing the Sunfire Aegis item, on the way to building it, you can now use an extra ruby crystal so that you gain the bonus health earlier on. But in terms of overall stats, it hasn't really changed the item. So just an extra step. If you don't have the full gold to buy Sunfire when you back, that's going to be useful. So in general, the things to keep in mind are Shyvana might be played top. We have to understand her kit better if she does. Olaf has more attack speed, and if he knows how to throw his Qs, will get slowed if he uses it max range. Skarner, if Skarner starts appearing top again, we have to deny him from his 3-hit passive. Tryndamere, we might be able to still handle Tryndamere in the lane, depending, of course, on skill matchup. But late game, he will have access to more attack speed. All those things you have to keep in mind, and then we'll see how this patch shakes out. And good luck out there. GG.